Okay, welcome to part two. As you can see, we're going to get right into this ground. Just putting in a little bit of burnt umber, maybe a little bit of yellow ochre in there. Just kind of blotting it on, just getting it in there. As you can see, while we were away, I went ahead and I put my little barn roof on where it would look like shingles. Also, you can see the rafters in there. And then I just blacked in some bushes in the back. And then we'll start working on those here in a bit. I think this is going to be a really nice painting. Well, it is. I'm doing a voiceover now, so I know it'll be a nice painting. All right, now I'm just going to go in here and just start putting some mid-tones. I did my darks first. A lot of times I put my mid-tones on first, but on these bushes, and I'm going to make them a little bit brighter. I'll put about 3 layers on this. But you got to remember, there's a big tree coming, and it's going to cover up that whole bush. And then I'm putting in a big hay bale, so it's going to go in there, big round bale. So that whole left side of that barn is going to be pretty much gone. Today we're going to spend on the bushes, the grasses, touching up some of the barn, putting in the big tree, the hay bale. And that's going to be probably it for part 2. So this will be a 3-part series, and the last part will just be doing the truck, putting in some highlighted grasses, touching up a few areas, and then it'll be a complete painting. I'm trying to keep each one of them down to about 20 to 22 minutes, so you have plenty of time to paint along, catch up if you get behind, not get overwhelmed with a 2-hour, hour and a half, whatever it could be, painting. I have edited it down quite a bit because I think I had like 3.5 hours. But that doesn't necessarily mean 3.5 hours of painting. There was times that I was had the video, had the record run, and I'd mix paints and things like that. Anyway, I'm just highlighting this fascia board on the barn, putting a little bit of titanium white on it, but later I'll come in and kind of cover it with a gray, make it look washed. Okay, now I went into just some pure ochre. It might just be a hint of burnt umber in there. And we're just going to kind of start seeding this barn with grasses. And I just took my little fan brush, added just a little bit of water to the paint so it'll slide real easy. And I'm just using an upward stroke, just kind of make it look like grasses. And there will be several different layers to these grasses. We'll put some darker ones, some lighter ones. We'll highlight with our liner brush in a little bit. But right now I just want to get this left side pretty much done so that I can put the hay bale and the tree in, and then we can work on finishing grasses later. But this has been a real fun painting so far. Again, I didn't spend a lot of time on the barn. I didn't add a whole lot of detail. I just kind of want the eye to see the barn, kind of finish it, and then go to the truck. And the truck is going to be an old rusty truck. Doesn't even have any tires. It's probably been sitting out there for 30, 40 years. Probably a good find if somebody wanted to restore it. Again, just still using that fan brush. hopefully these little longer series you guys will like, so you can kind of paint along and don't have to set through a whole long series. Alright, I'm going to take my white little charcoal pencil and we're just going to rough that round bail in. Now if you wanted, you could just do it without the pencil, but I just wanted to show you how you can do it, so you can kind of get your proportions right, get your angle. That way, if it doesn't look real good here, or you don't quite like it, you can always change it around a little bit. And that charcoal, white or black, whichever one you use, it wipes right off. Now I'm going to take that little flat brush. I'm going to go into my burnt umber here. Maybe add just a touch of ochre, but mostly burnt umber. And I'm going to kind of put those darker tones where you're going to see the darks in the hay bale and give it a little bit more dimension. I did a hay bale in that last one with the Kansas barn in winter, and so I put one here in the fall. This one has a truck. It really turned out nice. I was pleased with it in the end. And I know a lot of people, and I've done videos where I just talk as I paint. But the problem is, if I have to stop and mix a color, then I either have to stop the camera, stop the recording, get it mixed, get back, turn it on, or there's this big long void. Now I know I have edited that out, just not talk or do anything, but sometimes I keep talking while I'm mixing my paint and tell you what I'm doing, but there's nothing on the screen except just the picture. And I've thought about going to a secondary camera. I have one, and putting the palette there so you can watch that. But I'm not quite good enough yet at the editing because I never can get those two to match up. I probably need to talk to somebody that is good at that kind of stuff, where I can get both cameras to line up with one another. And what I mean by that is there's times that I tried it and I would be painting on the canvas and my palette showed that I was mixing colors, so it was off. Alright, now I've just went into that pretty much straight ochre. Try not to do a lot of mixing off camera, very few, if not just one or two colors. We're just going to try to get us a little three-dimensional look there. Dark on the bottom, be lighter on the top. Now I'm going to that little script liner brush, and I'm going to take yellow with yellow ochre, just to kind of brighten that ochre up, and I'm just flicking little grasses, kind of making it look like that grass is rolled up in there. And you can be as detailed and elaborate as you want here. This is where you're only limited by your imagination, time constraints, and how long you want to work on something. You could spend hours on that barn, hours on the hay bale, hours on the tree that we're going to put in, and the truck. You could have 30, 40 hours in this painting and make it look like a picture. I have a couple hours in this painting, and it looks like a picture, but I also want the eye to finish some of it, and that's the fun part of this. It's almost realism, but not quite. Your eye just starts to see things If you look at a photograph, it's a photograph. And so sometimes that ultra realism, it's really neat and it takes a lot of talent and time. But there's a lot of times that we just want our eye to finish things. Now, I got a little bright back there, so I went back in with a little bit of burnt umber and just darkening those grasses up so it looks like they're in the shade. And I'm taking a little bit of black with a little bit of burnt umber in there, putting some shadows in. See, I got my paint a little bit wet there, so I'll go back in and doctor that up. But I'm really trying to get this area over here done because we're going to be putting in the tree here in just a bit. And we'll highlight that bush. Or not necessarily highlight it, I guess I should make it a little bit brighter, but we're not going to make it too bright. Now I'm going to take that script liner brush, same paint, but I've thinned it down even more so it just glides. And we'll start putting in some different grasses, different size grasses. Almost looks like you could walk right through those grasses. Almost starting to look like it's a little bit chilly out. I just enjoy painting these kind of paintings. Kind of puts you right there. Seen many of these old barns and old farms. Again, like I said in my last painting, the farmhouse probably isn't even there anymore. This barn's probably sitting out in an empty field, hay field. Maybe there's a wheat field or a corn or soybean close by. And this is just kind of used for storage. Maybe it's not even used anymore. Okay. Now I jumped ahead a little bit. I started highlighting that bush. Going to finish working on it. I went ahead and I just kind of based in the old rust and some of the blue on the truck. And I did that just to kind of give me an idea of where I was going. Kind of wanted you to see where we're going to spend our part 3. It was just working on that truck and finishing touches on the grasses in the barn. Now what I've done here is I've taken just that Mars black that I have, thinned it down a lot to make that brown or the black almost transparency, which it is. And now I'm just kind of washing over those old shingles because that's the dark side, so I don't want it real bright. Plus I'm going to be putting my tree in there, so I don't want that to take away from the trees. And again, our tree is going to be in some oranges, which I use cadmium yellow light, maybe touch of yellow in there, but just kind of darkening that side up a little bit, just getting it ready. Okay, here we go. We got the old dagger brush, and we're going to find right where that tree's going to go. I guess it's going to go right there. And as you can see how thin it is, and I always start my trees thin because I can make them bigger, but if I make it too big to start, it's really hard to make it smaller without doing a lot of repainting. So on trees, this is where I would tell you, find your main trunk, start out small, use whatever brush you're comfortable with, and then when you start liking it, now let's start making it a little bigger, a little bigger, a little bigger, and just do it a little at a time. This is where you don't want to get in a hurry. You can mess up a tree really fast by making a big old fat branch on there. The next thing you know, you're having to make your main trunk fatter. But right now, we're just shaping those main trunk and those main limbs. Then we'll come back in with the script liner brush and we'll start adding a lot of little ones. And again, I still have that old dagger brush, just getting everything ready. Now I'm going to put another one over there. Just kind of seeing how that tree would look. Okay, now we've went to the script liner brush. Now this is just Mars Black, and it's really, really wet, inky, very inky. And then that just lets it just glides. And the shakier your hand is here, the better your tree limbs will look. Just see how they shake up through there. Just pull and lift. Now I'm going to go to that old deer foot brush, scruffy brush, and I'm putting on, this is mostly Mars Black with a little burnt umber, and I'm just going to start putting some leaves around. I've got some on there, they were a little light, I didn't like them, so I'm going to start it out a little bit darker. And we're just going to kind of put them where we think they'd be. Now remember, cross over those branches and that trunk with your leaves. That way it makes it look natural. Now I'm just going to go into a little bit of cadmium orange. And we'll just start highlighting over those blacks. And then we'll add probably another layer, and then we'll take our little script liner brush or a little round brush, whatever you want to use, and we'll put individual leaves on. Here I'm just taking a little bit of a gray color and going to make that kind of look like bark on the tree. My light's coming from the right, so I'm going to make that side of the tree a little bit brighter. Just going to kind of pick out some spots up in there where I think the light might have hit it. But for the most part, it's going to be all dark up in there. Those old leaves they're getting ready to turn brown and start fall off. And right now I'm just using my little, I think it's a little number 2 flat brush. Just kind of go around. We'll leave that right side a little bit darker, just so it looks like some shadow. And again, in our last part 3, we might go in and highlight that tree a little bit more. But right now we're just trying to get everything ready to go. Just trying to find some little spots up there where I think maybe light is coming through. Maybe highlight a little bit. But see how that tree has kind of covered up that whole side of the barn. Okay, now I've taken my little script liner brush and I've added a little cadmium red light with orange light with yellow. And now we're just going to start individually. Okay, thanks for watching part 2. You can see we're going to be starting on the truck next and just finishing everything up. Thanks for watching.